I'm smelling people and I'm talking with Shelley and I'm pre-recording this, Shelley, because our morning rituals of conversations, if I had Adam, Mark, you.
That's why we have to start those Zoom meetings. So it's like, okay, private session. What's going on in them?
Well, what's going on, which the first video I did with my beautiful hairdo was, it all started at the Leo moon, right? At the Leo moon, we had Elvis Presley, Achy Breaky Heart. And then we moved to the Virgo moon and we were into psychoanalysis, 101, ADHD, can't sleep. Now we're going into the term I was using, which is reciprocity. It's, did I do that? Was that a dream?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, like I said, when I was recording the Pisces video, I was like the poem I wrote to myself because I was like, okay, do I want to talk to anyone? No. Why? Because it's Pisces. It's like, let me make sense of this. Let me get the friggin' download. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit with myself. I'm not going to talk. I won't call Shelley. I won't call anyone. I'm just going to think about this. And so I went through the emotions and I'm like, is listening to music healthy right now? And I went, probably not, because I was really feeling sorry for myself. And I had a few cries. And then I was like, oh. And then, you know, it's just so tired. And just looking at, you know, I've got to read the thing that I wrote. And it was weird. It was to do with the fact that, I'll read it in a minute. Let me get it. You'll still be on the camera. But I'm going to find it. I don't know if you saw it. I was just sitting there and I was, I'd seen this basic quote relating to, it was a thing that I shared on YouTube. And it was to do with Celine Dion when she lost her husband. And, you know, the song that she released, which I put it in the community tab on. So I looked at that first, and that was my first instance of looking at the reality of having to release. So that song came to mind, and it was interesting because we all deal with our wounds differently. Some of us go into masculine and we're like, right, we're just going to shut down. We're going to keep people out. Right. And then others of us, and then we go, okay, is that natural? And I've used that over the years as a coping mechanism. It's like, okay, let me not depend on anyone because I can't bloody depend on anyone. So I've got to depend on myself, right? And then you look at it and you go, no, well, you can't necessarily do that because you can't eliminate.
Exactly, because that would be like, here's the thing.
That can be avoidance too.
And it's funny that you mentioned that because back like last week we were talking about this where it's like, I don't want to do it anymore. The psychoanalysis.
Yeah.
You know, where it's, you know what? I refuse. I'm pause. It's like
the Ella Goulding song come up and it's called Flux. And I put that on Facebook and I was thinking about good old Pisces, looking at your shadow and the emotions. I look at my hair and it's fantastic. This is messed up YILDIZ, purgatory YILDIZ. Don't care. Anyway, so I wrote.
Tying up and made little horns.
Yeah, it's exorcism hairdo day. It's makeup all over the face. It's recording. So I wrote, memories can be a muse or your arch enemy. That's what gives us the drive is the pain of the incomplete, which is like, you know, maybe if I could have done this, maybe if I could have done that. And it's like it's almost like you're trying to convince yourself, the individual, maybe it could have been better. And that's the initial stage. So twin flame parfait is like, how did I go wrong with that one? So I wrote.
But that doesn't get you anywhere. So.
Well, no, we know that. Memories can be the muse or the arch enemy. What gives us the drive is pain of the incomplete. That what hurts and haunts us is the enemy of deception. Wanting to be and being are two different things. Accepting is a process. No one is immune to such, nor can escape the work. Good old work. Acknowledging what we want, what we wanted, what is the past, and what can never be can be deeply traumatic. Fighting the dark over embracing the view. You know, sometimes it's hard to look at. Sometimes it's just absolutely disgusting. It's like, why didn't that happen for me? It's horrible. It's like, but it's more distorted to look at it sometimes and go, oh, anyway. For why would we wish to in such a distorted reality? Because to look at it and say it failed, and maybe it wasn't even your fault. Maybe it was. It could have been your fault.
Maybe what?
More than likely it was. And we were talking about this, Pisces. Was it my fault or wasn't me? Yeah, it was. Maybe, probably. Okay. The fact is, perhaps the dark is the truth we wish not to accept. Bitter memories of hope stashed that are not acceptable in the mind's eye. They're friggin' not. One could say the best is yet to come. How do we know the accepting isn't such? Next.
No more and then.
No more and then. Shout out to Lauren because that was her one. Okay.
No.
So it's, you know, I think that this Pisces moon is like, oh, God. Okay, so we had the Leo moon having to be strong, trying to try. Do. Maybe that's not healthy. Maybe we don't have to be kings and queens and perfect dreams.
You don't, okay, yes, of course, there's moments that you need to be strong and endure in the moment, but the reflection that comes afterwards is okay to have sit with your emotions, purge, do all that shit.
Yeah.
But that's not what this is.
Oh no, that was the Leo moon. Then it was the Virgo moon. Then it was. And it was the. What do I have to do to get from A to B? Whoa! During Mercury retrograde. Whoa! I'm tired. Everything's going wrong. I'm carrying the wheelbarrow up the hill. I can't keep this up forever. I reckon that for me, when I was looking at the Mercury retrograde, it was the sun, moon, it was Venus, and it was the actions I was taking, you know, because it's Mercury is the steps you're taking, your thoughts, the communication in retrograde, Venus, everyone. I literally actually was drawn to notice how many times I give my power away because I had compassion for other people.
Agreed. And that's why, for me, the Virgo moon was so right. Brilliant discoveries.
Thank you for that.
Was it me?
Oh, yeah, I didn't know I was allowing you to do that.
Right. And brilliant discoveries of, oh my God, maybe it was me. And this and this, all that. And now coming to this part and going.
Now I think it's like mental asylum stage. It's like, I'm motivated. That's a lot of. I think that's what the Mercury retrograde was doing because Saturn's the lord of restriction and burdens. Burdens? It's exhausting. You mean I'm going to carry you too? I can't even carry my own back.
Fucking if a burden or like a crisis happened right now, I would be like Jello in the corner going, I can't handle it.
Bullies, not it.
Whatever. Yeah.
No, not again.
Not it. I'm not.
No, that's stupid.
Did my time. Yeah.
I wouldn't even buy the t-shirt. Not unless you are the last person on the planet. I don't think so.
I'm not going to, it's like, I don't even, I'm not.
I mean, even my amethyst is like part clear quartz, part amethyst. It's like dishwater, man. I want to walk around with it in my hair just for psychic protect. I reckon we should make clips. Yeah, we should.
Like one of the Flintstones. Good idea, YILDIZ.
I'm telling you, we should do the Bam Bam. I reckon, you know how we use them as wands? You can get like the amethyst wands where you do the readings. I mean, I can just hold gems and channel, but I mean, I put my hair up with pens sometimes because I can't find my hair clip. My hair's so thick.
One of those selenite wands.
Yeah, I want a selenite wand. I saw this man in the shops and I was like, is the universe giving me, you know, it's when you get into that, you know, everything means something moment. I love it when we get to that. This man's walking through the shop. He's got a cowboy hat on. I mean, if you want to be superstitious, no hats inside, right? But what does he have coming off his hat? Every bird species feather you have ever seen in your life. And I mean, this was flamboyant. And I was digging the hat. I mean, I was all down for that psychic energy with meditation. I mean, he must have been thinking about a lot.
The craziest person in the
and he looked like the most normal person in the room.
There you go. There you go. I don't know what to tell you. Like I said, all day I've been sitting here going.
So I don't know whether it's the energy leading up to the moon that's perplexing and distorted, because I don't know, I've even noticed, because we've got Mars in Gemini, we've got the North Node in Gemini. Have you noticed anyone trying to sell you a porcupine and you're like, or maybe we can be over exaggerating something, because it's Pisces, right? It can be, that would be the greatest salesperson. This would be the greatest sale to have, is during shadow. Mind you, it's going to be going direct.
Nobody's hasn't tried to pitch me on any idea, because I pretty much have put it out there for over a year now that I'm a cunt, and nobody comes to that. They're like, nah, she ain't gonna buy it.
Well, I used to say, do I have something written on my head? But it was like, don't enter was one of those things. And I mean, that hadn't worked. I kind of got over that. Yeah, but the look on the face is almost like, really?
Yeah, and I told you, my cousin came to visit my mom, and she goes, when are you going to paint me a painting? And I went, I do nothing for free.
And that's, I reckon, like, okay, so I was saying with Libra.
But what, you see what I mean? Like, but what a cunt thing to already come off. I was just like, why would I give you that?
I think that's where everyone's at, though. It's like, just, and I think because Mars is in Gemini, we need to be careful, because we may verbally, snap at people with Mars there, especially if there's some story they're selling us that's up there in the pipe clouds with no direct action taking. I don't think it'll sell too well. It'll be like, if you're a salesman, you better put your money and your actions where your mouth is, because that ain't selling porcupines to me, and it's not working. And I think, so I was looking at Libra, and Libra's is in the 6th house, and I've noticed with me, I've been making firm boundaries. What was the song that we come up for Libra? We said it down.
You and I were talking.
Yeah.
What was it that you said it was? I don't know, but
Cry Me a River would probably be one by Justin Timberlake. I mean,
what
Cry
I was
Me a
hearing
River.
earlier was that it's not Frank Sinatra, it's that other Dean Martin or something, a kick in the head. And I was like, that's it.
I think it's because the 6th house is all to do with, am I being my own worst enemy? Am I allowing things that, but it's like, now when it's been asked, if it's unreasonable, I just don't think you're even bam inclined to bother.
Yes, and that makes sense, because now for so long, from a Libra standpoint, trying to be fair, and maybe being more balanced towards others and less so for us.
It's to the detriment. Yeah.
It's tipped to the other way, where it's like, no, I'm having a me only moment, and y'all can go fry
an egg. Yeah.
Far out. I'm not doing that. Yeah, that's stupid.
But it's weird, because I think, the 12th house and empaths, from an emotional point of view, be it, because we've got the yin and yang, we've got the masculine, the feminine. I mean, the emotional sense of the body at the moment is no deal. The physical sense of the body is probably no deal as well. It's like, well, if I'm putting my money where my mouth is and I'm actually doing this, it's already enough hard work as it is. If you add to that and you're not working with me, no deal. So, because there's a lot of accountability and the need for expansion with Jupiter.
But that makes total sense. But now, I think I'm stuck on this. But Libra's shadow side is Aries, and isn't Aries all about?
Well, that's why this month is going to be interesting, because there's good aspects happening with the Venus house. It's direct. There's good aspects, but the reason why
like
it doesn't yet, because we've got to look at our psychology so we can get the heck over ourselves. Because we can't move forward with an open, optimistic heart. We've had heart chakra, we've had the ego, and now we've got the crown chakra. And to move beyond that too, the dream, we need to let crap go. And it's not, you can't change another person. You've always been the solution. You are the solution. If you don't react, if you don't enact and be part of a circular effect and cause and effect, you can't get the same storyline. So you effectively are the solution. In your psychology, you'll be thinking, yeah, but I don't know what they're going to do. It won't matter, because if you can't address that and it's not correct for you, and you're just going, okay, I looked at it, I tried, darned if I did, darned if I didn't, maybe that story didn't work for me. And then you go, okay, well, what has that done? Number one, in my heart, in my head, in my psychology, this Libra is exhausted. Okay, so what would I want to do? Every Libra I've been talking to, and it's not just bloody Libra we're talking about, it's people want to have, what was coming through for me in the zodiacs was we have been spreading ourselves like butter. We can't be everything to everything. You can't. So I'm not going to be butter no more. If I'm going to be butter, it's butter in a healthy format of feeding my soul, feeding my heart, and having intimacy with my brain, having a good relationship with my brain. What is my creative process? What do I want to create with my solar plexus and sacral chakra? I don't know if I've been doing it for everyone else. Well, hey, what you're more successful when you're doing it for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Sean.
But we don't live in a bubble. You know, we have family.
But again, you can't work with people who aren't working with you. You can't change that. It's heartbreaking.
No, I know. At this point, I feel like fucking the witch in the woods. You know. I don't. I'm not trying.
Well, what about the lion, the witch, and the wardrobe? Narnia.
A lot.
There was another word that came up a lot, and it's asylum. Asylum.
A movie.
The word keeps coming up.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but I keep hearing it. Asylum.
Or asylum.
Asylum.
Spell it for me.
I think it's E. I think it's spelt with E.
Right, because the correction would be
E-S. I was never good at English because I spoke 2 languages, so I was bits of bits. Elysium, yes. Elysium.
Yeah.
Elysium. It sounds like some dietary fiber thing that you need to put in your diet. You know, what's that? What's that fiber?
I'm sorry, YILDIZ. That sounds like a mental health pill, and I'm down.
I'm down for it. Yeah. Well, we did say we wanted a lobotomy, so I think this Pisces means the blasted lobotomy we needed.
Oh my God. So what does Elysium mean? Classical mythology.
Yes.
The abode of the blessed after death.
Let me look at
any similarly conceived abode or state of the dead, any place or state of perfect happiness, paradise. It's the pink sanded beach.
Well, that's why I said, how do we get to that? So we went through the heart, we went through the throat and the head, and now the crown chakra. And it's the 12th, it's technically collective energy, it's 12th house. So then we're returning to Aries, which is the first house, the rebirth. Plus, we're going to have Juno retrograde, which is going to be in the 9th house.
I'm sorry. I went into the whole mythology.
Okay, you dig deep. You dig deep into that and go into that Virgo energy. Prior to this Pisces.
I think it's interesting because, and look at the painting, the skull, and then
I kept saying, I've got to show you. Oh, well, I'm on 2 cameras right now. My partner, twin, bought me something at the shops yesterday, and you'll never guess what it is.
The skull.
It's got dragons and it's silver. And it's an hourglass in the shape of an hourglass is infinity, isn't it? Guess what's inside it? Gold flakes. And you're like, what? Well, it's time. As it sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. Far out. You remember those days? You know, our life isn't a movie, right? You know, and most of them would be like, well, some of it could have been as ugly as that, honestly. Who went with who went with who? And that's your brother or your father or your mother?
Bro, if we could pitch it as a screenplay, I don't know if anybody would go see this movie, but...
Well, I do have a twin that's making a twin flame book. She's doing her book and she's moving it to try and go to a movie.
I don't know how many movies I've seen, and I'm like, those two? Yeah.
I don't think that the twin flame path would be one book. I think it's like a number of gazillion chapters chucked into it, and they just don't make sense. Do you know why? Because if you were to put that in a book, you'd have to spin it in a comedy sense, I reckon. Because the poor person that wasn't a twin flame, that maybe had a very normalistic soulmate connection would go,
oh, yeah. They would be like, this is a very...
Is that a different person they're saying? Why are they still doing it? They're not hearing from... Why are you back? Heck, how many years has it been?
Right.
Are we there yet?
Are we there yet?
Where?
Where?
Are we there yet?
Yeah.
This is, it's so we can be ascended masters. It's like, how ascended can we get? I don't know. I don't know how ascended I was the last few weeks. Or
I don't know how.
Were you ascended?
I didn't kill anyone.
Okay.
So I did good.
So
I didn't verbally, you know, like...
You went verbal. I don't know. I don't know. I was pretty grounded, actually. I wasn't. Yeah, no. Yeah. I think, you know, I call that the fly on the wall. You're like, oh.
This week was seeing things happen and going, this already, we dealt with
it's Groundhog Day.
Yeah. You know, Buddha, Allah, whoever, Green Smurfs, we did this already.
Green Smurfs.
2018. Why are you bringing this up again?
Did I not look at that enough already? Have we not moved yet? Are we still there? Oh.
No, we've already discussed this. I'm not discussing this again.
Do you know we've had this conversation maybe a few months ago, and then a few months ago before?
Is this going to come up every
probably? Yeah. No, I'm telling you. Remember, you said to me, "What happens when Juno goes retrograde and direct?" And I went, "Transition, births, deaths, and it's Venus." But when it went into retrograde, if that connection isn't working, it's like to the left, whether you want it or not, and it ends up serving you. You make complete sense through the ego. You're like third Mars, man. We're going from the 12th to the first house placement. Venus is going to be there, but what do we have to look at before we get to Venus? The full moon in Libra and the shadow sign is Aries, and we've got Aries and Chiron there.
Hey, it's looking at everything for the cold, hard truth of, okay, look.
Yeah, it's looking at the dirty, the gnarly, the Chiron muddy waters and going, ooh.
Yeah, I've done it this way. You know, made it right, turned it left. We've done it all different types of ways. Maybe it's just not doable.
Well, you know what I found when I was going through that prior to reconnection? I was doing a lot similar to this, coming up to that point where Juno was going to go retrograde. And I mentioned the fact that I did a little video. I was with my daughter. I went to the beach. And I remember listening to my soul, very Pisces, right? And it was like, I miss being. I miss my art. I miss having a drink now and then and just socializing and being at peace. I miss my garden. I miss walking.
Being at peace.
And then the shift happened. Separation happened. And I'm not saying it means separation, but there was something that shifted in me. Now, the shift can be, and the shift is always positive. It doesn't feel it sometimes at the time, But when I went into release, which is the one thing a lot of people don't do on the twin flame path, but when you do, it comes back to you. Why? Because we've gone through the 7 stages, technically. You've gone through a purgatory effect relating to it. You've had your lobotomy. I've tried, I've been there, I did this, I did that, they did this, they did that, and that can be with your work, it can be with your friends, anything. And then you're like, I'm too tired, peace within, let go. And then things flow. You return to, where am I pouring my energy? I need to be giving energy to certain things in me. I need to feed my soul. I need to feed what I have in front of me. And that's usually what I would go through. Again and again and again.
Okay. And again and again.
And again and again.
Well, yeah, that's the whole purgatory. But right now, maybe it was all that purging that it just feels.
I just think personally, some of you are coming into union, and that's why it's happening, because I've been here before.
Union with self.
How do you reach union with self? You make peace with it until you can feel at peace. Like I said, facing that shadow, facing those memories are really hard. A lot of times it's like dark night of the soul, and you've got to put it down and put it down. When you can finally just go, maybe it doesn't make sense. Maybe it will never make sense. My brain is tired. Maybe my way was not necessarily right or wrong. Maybe universe knows better. And when you just let go of that steering wheel, it really does flow. And it was horrible. You saw me. I was crying on the steps. I was a shit show mess. It was horrible.
Well, the other day again, like revisiting that, how much later and going, it wasn't the want of anything. It was actually the realization of the exhaustion.
Plus,
you know what I mean?
Pisces is psychology. It is.
And the psychology.
It's psychology we're going through at the moment.
You know, and all that you've been through. And, okay, yes, patting yourself on the back and going, right, I got through this, and I can't believe I got through this, and that. That still doesn't mean that you can't take time to go, wow, you know, and give yourself some credit for you know, but at the same time, it doesn't mean you're not emotionally exhausted.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like, emotional exhaustion.
I think so.
That's how I feel. And that's why I was like, I mean, look,
I think time management comes up too, because the Leo energy was the passions and the things you're putting yourself in, the strength. Then we move to the Virgo, which is honestly, you know, when I look at it, with the Mercury retrograde, with all those houses, it was helping me, say, with work, for instance, look at it and go, where am I using my time management? Am I putting too much energy into one domain and not enough into another? And is it to the detriment of my health? How can I better manage what I have in front of me and work more in? And the nodes in Gemini they're going to get us sidetracked. So this had to happen for us to go, right, where are there things in my life separately to connections, but connected also, that I can make sure that in my control in my life, I'm steering my ship forward effectively.
Agreed. But still, with the Pisces energy, even though it isn't like that, maybe, because it's so soon that you wouldn't be able to see the fruits of all that labor, of all that restructuring, purging, and everything, but feeling like, whoops, all that, why did I do all that? All that hard work for nothing. That's what it feels like.
It does feel like that, but I will say everything I've endured in my life, I know I can't lie to myself anymore, so everything does hold a purpose, and I have used those things in my life. Even the horrible things. So even though I might jump back into that, I can never say that's true, because my compassion towards, you know, my mum and dad being together, my mum and dad breaking up, seeing the way they related inside of connections respectfully, they moved on and they were great that way. Have I seen that not work so well in other connections? 100%. And it's sometimes very distorted to say. It's such a disappointment, but it is what life is.
But that's what I'm saying. And then that's the energy or the feeling, and it creeps up on you. And that's why I'm saying, catching yourself and going, what is this? I already dealt with this in 2018 and 2017. We already went through this. Where's this coming from? That's what I'm talking about. Because it's like, I know better. Where's this coming from?
Sometimes old habits die hard, and sometimes I think we just get back into that comfortable and it's like a test is there, but we didn't notice it because we were so busy on autopilot that when you stop and you view it, you're like, whoops, did I do that? It's so, it's a fine line, man, to not enable, to not fall into victim consciousness, to not, do somebody else's work and feel in your ego that maybe you're helping when you actually maybe not. You're actually probably being to the detriment of the health of that situation. So it's even being a reader is that. It's like, we talked about the taboo with the tarot and things like that with religion. And the thing is, there's a fine line. And Pisces at the moment, it's a Neptune. Delusions, illusions, dreams. It's innovation. We've got to be careful what we're telling ourselves. We've got to be careful how we're showing up in an authentic manner. Like I said the other day, I don't even know theoretically what's union. It's a tag. I'm just trying to come back to this one moment each time and go, how do I feel today?
That's what I'm saying.
I check myself now. It's like try not to be in ego as much as possible and just be present.
It's like when you say the superlatives or absolutes and speaking in absolute, this never happens.
They don't happen, yeah.
Oh, you know that there is no such.
There's no infinite always, apart from the sun and the moon at the moment.
It's only things people, but that's why I'm saying this energy that's coming through, where it's like, where's this fucking negative self-talk coming through? Where is this coming from? Pisces. Wow.
I'd say it's the end cycle of the psychoanalytical. Oh, look, sometimes, do we have to be cruel to be kind? If I was same thing when it comes through to coaching, it's like, don't shoot the messenger, so to speak, in a metaphorical way, not in a, but it's if the wound's already there. I remember a time where, sometimes in our friendship groups or in family, we might have had a breakup. And then, Adele had brought out her songs and it was Send My Love to You. What's that song called? Treat her better. It's like, yeah.
Love her better.
I mean, to me, when I heard that, I learnt that. It's don't beat yourself up thinking they're not going to get away with it because they're going to have the same thing unless that person's changed. I hope you treat her better, not for my sake, not for her sake, or it's whoever's sake. I hope you have grown spiritually that you're able to do that. And if you don't, well, you're going to get the same cake. So treat her better was that.
Right, because then at least if the end goal, it's in the end. Somebody grew, we all grew, we all know better, if there's and that was the benefit, the learning, well then.
But that song to me at that moment, I was in a happy place. Now we can't always have everyone at the same place at the same time. So for me, yet the people around me, they weren't happy, right? I was bouncing in understanding because I learnt something. It's not I'm perfect, but the other people around me that had gone through breakups, they were weeping like their ex was going to go off with somebody else. But if they weren't successful with you, which isn't a personal thing or a compliment.
What makes you think that
you can't.
Maybe they did learn something through, the relationship to be like, oh, I'll never do that again, but it's gone so far, messed up so far that,
I mean, I've mucked up time and time again, and I can't say I'm not perfect. So I can say in my best of my ability that there's been times I've wanted to do better. Now, that comes down to environment. That comes down to the people you mix with, the circumstances surrounding it. You can't control those things.
100. I 100% agree with you on that.
So what were we to do? Stop songs altogether so that trigger doesn't come up? You can't remove the obstacles. The obstacles are going to be there. You need to work on the wound.
Coming from an old maladaptive responses,
doesn't
necessarily mean that you're going to you want to do better, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we make the best choices, because we have all those old maladaptive behaviors. So we were talking about this last week, right? Where it's like being in a relationship when you know past its expiration date, either side of the line, right?
Yeah.
It's those old paradigms, the old things that we're told, whatever, what you should want, as opposed to what what really makes you happy. And then staying in something too long. And that's the part of the maladaptive. When you know better, you would do better.
Mm.
But once you get to that point where you're like, I'm the one that's not happy, I should want, this is what I want, even though that's not the popular thing. Then there's that weird, odd space and time, right? Like we're talking about that nobody wants to have that conversation. Nobody wants to break the news of, I don't want to do this anymore, even though it might be what's best for me.
Yeah.
According to I don't know who, but it's not what makes me happy. And as adults, we do that.
Yeah, I think the older I'm getting, I'm less inclined to do that, and that can be age, it can be experience, it can be you do outgrow certain ways of being. It just naturally. So even with the coaching, sometimes yes, I do get frustrated, but I can't do the work for them. I can't. And then I've been there too, which is compassion. It's like I've been there, and like if a wound is too heavy to deal with, it's a bit like dark night of the soul energy. It's going to close down because your body won't take yourself to that domain where it can't handle it. So it will go into avoidance. It will go into, non-acceptance or victim consciousness, and it will be very difficult. But it's going to keep coming up, so it's going to still have to be addressed at some point. Yeah, so I think that breakup was pivotal for me because I realised that I could have pointed the finger and I could have said it was twin energy or relationship, whatever you want to call it. But it was a lot of things. I wanted to look at the shadow of all things. It's like, okay, if theoretically we come into this world alone, and theoretically, unless you're Bonnie and Clyde, you're going to go out of this world alone, I better have it done on a good life. Because if I am looking for my fulfillment inside of another person and they die, what the hell am I going to do? Because you can't be defined by. So because it rains, can you not be happy? Because the song comes on, can you not be happy? I had the shadow of babies because I'd wanted children, and I was told at 19 I couldn't have kids. That's not something a 19-year-old wants to hear when they're not even thinking about bloody kids. I had to face that shadow. So I think, in creative energy, especially as a feminine, you kind of go into that thought of, well, what am I good for then? That's what I did. I was like, well, if I can't co-create, which was what one of my hopes and dreams was. And this is what this Pisces moon's bringing up. Not necessarily through the whole thing. It might ease up as we reach it. But for me, it's always with any new beginning, there's an ending, isn't there? So psychologically, we're looking at those things. And it's, I wanted X, Y, and Z. Did I get it? Probably not. Was it me? Was it due to other circumstances? 101 things.
Well, that happens at any time. And we've talked about this 1,000 times. Like, when you were children, they're a blessing.
Yes, that's Libra right now. Children.
Having said that,
I reckon if we were to go levels, right, we're going the 19-year-olds. Depends on what they call adults on YouTube, I mean, technically. Anyway, so we got the 19-year-olds. They're like, I don't know, maybe they want to party. Then we go the mid-range, right? Maybe having to, I really want to have a baby one day. And hey, maybe they do, and God bless, right? And then you get to the other group, which is they've had them for a long time. I don't know. I used to think that the younger ones, God bless their little possum socks, they were so, and it was a bit like nursing. Did you ever notice, depending on, what area you nursed in, but some staff would love clients that you had to give everything to. Why? Because you had control. I would preempt and tune into it, but it was simpler. Whereas the ones that are more verbal and maybe have dementia and can be a little bit more abusive, they're challenging. So you've got the challenges on both sides, and it's the same as children, man. It's like, they're so cute. And then it gets to the every 2 years, something's changing. Then the teen. Oh, I don't dig the teens.
Maybe I'm coming from already with a 23-year-old. But for me, the cutest child is the one that
you can hand back.
You can hand it back, and that they don't speak yet. But not, peace. Not that they would be mute, but hear me out, because they can't tell you their opinion.
Oh, they probably will. They'll be like, Nan.
No, but you know what I'm saying? I went to a baby shower once, and that was the game. And write down on an index card the best parenting advice you could give. And they were like, Shelly, dude, because I was the only one that
a therapy session.
Right, the oldest daughter there, and they're like, what's the best advice that you? I thought we were gonna hand them in, and nobody was gonna read. But then it was like, okay,
you had to read it out. Oh, yeah, but my Libra energy, I'm a straight shooter. Anything I tell a person, I'm not the type really to gossip. It's like if I have something to say, I'll say it straight to your face. I'm a straight shooter, so.
And if I don't, you'll see it on my face, because I'll be like.
Yeah, but that's probably the Cancer energy in me, the Cancer moon, and it's like, really?
But I've got Scorpio rising and Pisces moon. I can't add it.
Yeah, well, neither can Cancerians. I mean, if you're going to ask them a direct question, you better be darn sure you want to hear the truth. They're going to tell you the truth.
So when they said read it out loud, I wasn't so worried about, I was like, I know there's some mommies in this group that are going to get offended by what I'm going to say. Okay, and maybe, and I'm sorry if you're triggered, congratulations.
Yeah.
But my best parental advice was don't teach her how to speak.
They're going to find it. I mean, I think each zodiac sign, especially with I was going to do for parents at the moment, because with Pisces being there, it's our relationships. It's our, it depends on where it falls in your chart. But I know when we're having ascension, it's so hard. And this is a single parent, Shelley. We're both being single parents. When you're trying to, even if it's just no twin flames and it's astrology, if you're doing something alone and you're needing to have a moment to yourself, you've got to turn yours off because you've got a kid. We can't permanently do that. We need to find healthy ways we can deal with them, create and then have.
You're trying to teach them to sleep through the night. And then you have to listen to them cry, and stuff where you have to be like, don't go in there. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
And that's, do you know what I mean? That's the best analogy.
Short-term pain for long-term gain. You can't keep avoiding things with I knew that. I think kids do pick up on your vibe, but they do pick up on your vibe, but you can't be perfect at all times. You're human. So
that's why when people go, I'm not saying it's not a blessing, but let's refine.
It's work. It's commitment. It's you don't do it. It's not. It's work. You do it for love.
The true statement is, it is the best and the worst thing that can happen to you.
It made me, I think, a little bit. I had a moment years ago, and it was like looking at, I think the best way to describe it was, what's her name? Not Janet Jackson. I've forgotten her name now. It'll come to me. Get up. I'm telling you, that Virgo Pisces energy is maybe the bloody crown chakra. Beyonce, when Beyonce had her baby, she returned to her energy of being feminine. She's like, hey, I'm not just a mother. I'm a woman too. And I think I had one of those moments. It was, I'm a parent, that's it. Put your, and I was going into older mode when I was way younger. And I was like, what am I doing this for? You got hopes, dreams, aspirations. You're a separate energy and you're a parent. But and I think it's like no one's trained to be a parent. Some it comes really natural to. Others you just go into it. But I think the best thing it's given me has showed me that I can be a man and a woman. Is it fair that I have to be? No. Is it healthy? No. Do I forgive myself for 110%? I did great. Take my hat off to it. Would I come back and do it again? Probably not. Probably not. And I do think in a past life, that's potentially why I had trouble having children.
My higher self thinks so high.
It was, yeah.
Like when I signed this contract, I don't know what I was thinking, but I've got words.
I got words to have with myself on the other side, but I do remember choosing this. I do remember going to the book and choosing it and saying, and even my guide was saying to me, are you sure, YILDIZ? And I was like, this is the only way. Okay, smarty, go to a party. And then I'm here and I'm going, I keep reminding myself that, Shelley. I'm like, you chose this. You chose the family, the role, the people that were coming to your life. And I'm like, heck, you must have, okay, whatever this is, I'm going to trust it. I'm not liking it.
I don't know what kind of conversation I had with myself. I call foul on it. I call BS.
Yeah, it's like, You can, however, you know how we talk about cord cutting? Cord cutting in karmic cycles, you can't necessarily cut particular energies out. But if, in fact, you know what, I've been tuning into this the other day, and it was to do with certain karmic cycles, especially when we tune into them, they're actually over. But because we're tuning into them that they're a direct obstacle, we're actually giving it permission-based to remain. So you need to do a spiritual cleanse of it. And you need to tune into, and it's whoever comes up into your mind's eye. And there's a guided meditation you can find on YouTube. And I had done this and it did work. It moved me and I had my union, but I was union with self first. But it was really strange to go through this because it was almost like I went into a guided meditation and I was tuning into, and just naturally their names would come to me. Whoever was called upon, like through my third eye and my crown. And I would make peace with that individual and I would say that our contract was over and that I released some of that. And I really did see movement after that. But I just allowed it to come, and whoever else felt they had a spiritual cord directly connected to me in some karmic fashion or lesson fashion, for it to be released and forgiven. And I did see movement happen after.
Because what happens usually sometimes, or what I've noticed, it depends on who it is we're talking about, that
it can't directly be with certain connections. You can't remove it. It's part of the process of your lessons and learnings. It'll make it worse.
Ultimate.
Yeah.
That bombarding of all the signals and the signs that you're like,
yeah.
Fine.
I think it's more the people that you feel are blocking you from progressing forward. It's a fallacy. The more you tune into it, you're giving it energy. Nobody's blocking you. We do have control over our circle, and the laws of attraction bring the correct people in. You've got to trust it.
Well, I mean, I totally agree. But before getting to that point of cord cutting, you do have to get to the point of the peace.
Oh, yeah. No, if you're still struggling and angry at it, you've got to keep going. Don't cut it because your purge will be worse. You have to be at a point you don't understand psychologically why that energy keeps coming up, because you may not, and sometimes it can be where you're really perplexed. You're like, I don't get it. Like, I'm at peace with it. It's not even bothering me. That's when you do the cord cutting. Because that means you have completed it, but you're quite confused because at some point in the journey, you were tuning into them and you were wondering when, why, what, how, and because you fed that energy, even tuning into it, it's kept it there, and that person is believing it's a truth.
It's a vibration.
It's a vibration. It's a channeling and energy. So once you do that, you can't do it if you're not complete on it. You can't do it you can, but what you'll do is purge heavier. It's more if you really have made peace with that and you're just like, you know what, it is what it is. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. You can't skip steps like that.
What you're saying is, I'm at peace with it. It's good.
I release you. Release you of this.
But if you're not,
don't do it.
Then what happens is you're basically saying, if you were an energetic code, you're telling you're saying you're Gouda, but it's actually Swiss. There's holes in your story.
Yeah, because if you really aren't, you will create a massive egoic purge that will be rougher on you. Don't do that.
And similar, whatever a tower, like people call that tower moment.
You'll have one. Yeah, you'll have a humbling.
And it'll be a humbling experience.
Yeah.
For for the longest time with my ex-husband, that used to happen.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? I've purged it. I've lost it. I don't even, I could see this person on the street and it wouldn't make no difference. I'd be like, hey, how are you? No love lost in this. But it wasn't until I admitted to myself.
I'm smiling because I know this, because when Juno went retrograde and the breakup happened between Twin and I, a lot of shadow energy came up to do with me and my soulmate. And it was because, spiritually speaking, yes, women do come to terms with things differently, and it's usually inside the connection. But I hadn't honored my own emotional feelings because I was putting them still first. It was like, how did it affect their side of the fence? But I hadn't stopped and gone, YILDIZ, how are you? Because, again, tapping into emotional masculine body embodiment to look after yourself, to be kind to people. I avoided myself again. It was like, universe was like, no, YILDIZ. You need to go see, how did you really feel about this? And, yeah, it wasn't fun.
And in my case, I was actually, for a long time,
Palo Santo.
blaming. And I'm not saying that, I'm not condoning anything that he did. I want to put that disclaimer out there.
Yeah, it's true. And that's truth and healing. It's not that when you say acceptance, it means it's acceptable. It's not. We're not saying that. It's it happens.
Like, I did.
Yeah.
I didn't deserve what was done.
No.
But if I'm being honest and truthful, like, for example, and I don't feel bad saying it, in my case, there was multiple, betrayals and cheating on his end, right? Yeah. And so till it came to the point where it couldn't survive anymore.
No.
It was just toxic.
Yeah.
But in the end, coming to terms with it, when, this person kept popping up in my dreams and stuff like that, where I was like, what is this? It's old and dead and buried, years later, right? Until it wasn't to the point where I had to be truthful with myself and gone, I may have not physically cheated on him, but the whole relationship, I had somebody else in my brain.
Yeah.
I was in love.
But that's why I say that sometimes when we say we don't have a karmic, and it doesn't have, the karmic is like the block. It doesn't need to be you're in a physical relationship. And this is even away from twin flame. It's all energy. So if you are finding no movement in your love life, which Pisces is at the moment, is really romantic. I can't wait to see that. I really can't. Why is it romantic? Because we romanticize things. But we need to come back down to a reality base. It's easier. It flows better. But that means we're just shoving things under the carpet. It's going to come up, and we don't want to. You really don't want to do that moving to April, because we're going to have Mars and Cancer. So sometimes spiritually, the blockage can be you haven't come to terms with that energy of another person, and that's why things don't flow in your life. Sad but true.
Absolutely. And moving forward, like you said in the astrology, and this March being the actual beginning of the year,
I just feel it's a January for me, really. It's like
now is when it's like now it's starting January, and it's always like that.
I mean, people must think I'm in my pajamas. I'm not in my pajamas. I was just cold, so I put my jacket on. I'm not in my pajamas. It's just, and now it's hot.
But yeah, I think that moving on with the astrology moving forward in the next coming months, especially since now we're going in April. If you haven't come to terms yet with those,
you better. I'm just warning you. You better. Mars is moving into Cancer. It's in its detriment. I mean, it's gnarly. You hide that emotion, it's going to come up like a hexen beast. If people are in relationships that don't resonate with them, and you've got wounds and you haven't spoken about them, that's going to be yucky. They actually say there could potentially be violent episodes inside of connections, and it's like, where's the bunker? Houston.
It's that saying, what persist.
Persists, yeah. And we're having Venus move into Aries. You best in the shadow phase. If you need to psychologically balance your viewpoint in it, look at the shadow of Aries. What are you fighting for? Are you fighting for someone who's not fighting for you? Are you suppressing your throat chakra? Are you speaking effectively? Are you condoning certain things? And condoning doesn't mean controlling. It means you being true to you will mean you have to make decisions, and that's your responsibility. And it's horrible, but it's true. If we are a partaker in a circumstance that is not healthy and we're saying it'll change, but it hasn't, just for this moment, the only control you have is what you do and how you show up in it. If you need to speak about things, get it done this month. Get it done.
And again, what is that other thing that we always say?
And it doesn't mean call your twin because you haven't heard from them. It means with the people and situations in your life. That's what getting into alignment is. It's not, oh my gosh, does that mean I need to? No, I'm not meaning that. Alignment is you where you are right now.
But if you do address that in your 3D life separately, if you're in separation, you're not talking to this person, and you address this in your life, chances are that when you do, if and when
you're ready,
but that's just like, speak to that person, you'll have the experience to be able to.
But that's why those tests come in prior to union, because if you can't say no and yes to family and friends and work and have healthy boundaries, you're going to be a doormat to any connection. It's true. Anything. Anyone. You'll fall for anything.
Self first.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, I'm glad that we brought up the children thing, because it's hard sometimes, and some moms, as moms, sometimes we don't realize it until that you're actually, it's not that you don't put your kids first, because of course
you do, but you can't help. Sometimes you have to acknowledge, am I healthy right now? Can I do it?
I need to ask for help. Mom, dad, sister, brother, whatever, neighbor, anyone, someone, something. I need a break, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever I can get.
Yeah.
And take that time for yourself.
Without conditioning. Without, it has to be something separate. It's just, because I think, have you ever noticed when you're tired, you operate the worst? It's like handing the keys to a DD. It's like, don't do that. Be rational with your decisions.
One of the things that I used to have to teach, to show my patients was with the like a graph, like a circle, a pie graph, and be like, what are your roles? Like, our hats, right? Mother. What else do you do? Like, if you have to take care of a parent, your job. So then your job is divided up in the pie. And where's one of them is, what do you do for yourself?
Yeah, but we do run the risk of, with that pie chart, as you're mentioning, it's not permission-based to get angry at people because things aren't working for you. Be it you're a parent, be it, if something's not working and it's on your side of the fence. I'm separated, for instance. I could blame my partner for things, but no, this is my life and it's my job to master it and to speak effectively. What do I need in my life? Why do you think I had daycare? Yes, these times are different, but it's okay. If there are things out of order in my life and I'm the solution, what can I do within my power? No, if I get mad at people around me, I'm wasting my time. I'm effectively moving into victim consciousness and I'm not going to get a bloody solution.
There is that saying, right? If you go out and
the projection is the reflection. It honestly is.
And you meet 20 a-holes, right? And you come back and you're like, I encountered 20 a-holes today. Well, chances are it's not that there's 20 a-holes out there. You might be a-hole. It's your perspective that needs to, change and be like.
Well, it could be because we have why do we do what we do? And I always look at this. Sometimes I fall back into it. So sometimes I have to say, okay, listen to YILDIZ. What's coming up for her? Am I angry, mad, happy, whatever it is? And try and compartmentalize the environment from me and what those things are. Because if I can't be wise enough to say, I'm getting angry at Bill, Bob, Joe, Cassandra, do you get my gist? Okay, they can't all be the common denominator there. Now, those circumstances might be irking me, but what deep down is coming up? What we need to, why do we get distorted energy? Because we send mixed recipes to universe and then we get mad about it. And it's like, okay, well, when you know better, you do better. You had the retrograde. What was it showing you? What needs to be changed? Is a solution a man or a woman? No, because they're not your bloody island. There's something here.
When those things happen, like for good example, right? When you going through some sort of adversity and you tap into a friend or a counselor or whatever, and and they give you great advice, right? Like if I called you and go, YILDIZ, what do you think I should do here? Well, I think that, and you give me your opinion, right?
Yeah.
But if you're doing this forever, right, which we often do.
I'm snorting and laughing because sometimes I do feel I'm doing things forever.
Right. And then that's like, okay, you're a good best friend because you give good advice. But at
Cannot
this
take
point, you have to be your best friend.
Yeah.
And give yourself that same advice that you would give a really good best friend that would tell you, honey, don't do this. You're better than this. You deserve this. It's okay to stay how you feel. You don't have to scream it, but it's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your feelings are validated. So sometimes we do have to be our own best friend, and be like, no, hold on. I need to take time and a breather for myself and say, it's okay. We're not in that Virgo energy anymore where it's like prepping for it's coming. And now that's why I'm saying now.
I think when you've seen enough, you're sort of like, it's like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I can say in my life, the things I've seen, nothing shocks me. Nothing shocks me at all. I've seen cess to the cest. I've seen beauty. I've been different. I've seen a lot. I don't even think I get mad at people for being judgy. I don't really care because I know where the wound's coming from. Sometimes I get frustrated, but it's more for a person than me when they're really struggling with their wounds because it's hard. I've been there. But they're not helping themselves. But you've got loving compassion. I find myself same thing
and being frustrated with a person, not for lack of compassion, but because I have been there.
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
frustration. I used to be there.
Yeah,
I know how bad it is, but the reality is that you're just like don't give up. You're like this far from the treasure. You're giving up a foot away from the treasure, and no shade, but no. I can comprehend because I've been there.
Oh, look, the hell was worth it. I'm telling you. Why do I say nothing's worth nothing? It's the hell's worth it going through because you're different after.
You'll emerge, but again, where we're at, it's like I can't have another Phoenix moment. One more fire that burns my ass, and I'm tapping out.
Yeah, no, and I'd say I'm there too. I'm like, really?
Yeah. So
really?
When you see somebody else going through it, and you're like, oh, dude, it's so much easier when you get to the other side. But it's not to have. I know it comes off as if.
And it's funny because I've got the Sons of Anarchy bloody. Not that I'm promoting them, but. You did the skull. I've got skulls and I've got the hourglass because we're reaching that time point. We're like, no deal.
I'd be interested to know how many people this week or these past 2 weeks have had some sort of imagery like that.
I've had dragonflies spiritually for the change in direction, which I think it's like very Uranus and Taurus. It's like, because that's really shaken us up quite a bit at the beginning of the year, January, February, and the instability. But it's teaching us something very valuable about ourselves. There's no perfect, right? There's nothing perfect. There's no building bloody pyramids and everything that's assured. It's never been. It's a fallacy. It's not true. Can we evolve? That was the Celine Dion song, which I think is relevant. Can beauty arise from the ashes?
Of course.
But that's what I mean by the phoenix, the burning down, going from the 12th house to the first house. It's painful. We've got to let go of things. Some of us have had hopes and dreams dashed. It's devastating. It's not fair. But can something come out of it? Yes.
Like we were saying earlier, getting to that point, we're going, okay, hold on.
This is the point. This transit is the point. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. It's
right. But admitting it, look, I built the house of straw that I realized
three little pigs.
I got this, and then I thatched it, and that didn't work, and then I did the brick, until the brick house got blown down.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you're not meant to live here. Maybe you want to go build your house.
Don't even talk to me about that. Bloody what has come up for you in the home domain and your daily routine? Home point blank zero, the relevancy of it. Have you been thinking about moving? Are you like, maybe I should just go to the Bahamas? Maybe I should go to some tropical island?
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of people are looking at that.
I've been wanting like the mini escape. Because it's an escape. We've always said this, right? No matter where you go, there you are.
Oh, yeah, true.
Right?
I wouldn't mind a holiday. I must say, I wouldn't mind a holiday. I would not
mind a change of pretty scenery, even if it was just from a window, to look at something different for a little bit. Because, I've got my daughter, I've got the energies, I've got, my mom, all the pressures, the burdens, like you said, that you're like, brain fog. Yes. Would I? If it was in a different situation, I swear to God, I would have jumped on a plane.
But isn't it really sad that we can tune into that vibration? We know how it feels and we can smell the air, the sand between our toes. We think we're on an island, right? Psychologically. Nobody can bother us.
Yeah. Me and Wilson. It would have been, I was sitting out on the balcony and I was like, coconut, sea air. I can smell it.
Wilson. Wilson's on holiday. I've been to Wilson. Huh.
Bad when you're walking like in a deserted.
I'm telling you, this. Have you noticed the hot, cold at the moment with all this energy? It's driving me crazy.
Yeah. Yesterday I was like sweating, and then I was like, my ears are cold.
That's menopause. It's like, are we having ascension symptoms or is this menopause?
No, that's man-pause.
That's man-pause. That's right, Shelley. We're having a man-pause.
I'm having man-pause moment? No way.
Yeah, I'm not sweating for the right reasons, right?
No, I'm serious. If anybody bright.
Passion.
I hear you. I agree.
That's what we were saying. I should go through and we should find a song for each bloody zodiac sign for this transit. Because Libra it was to do 6 houses, when you're not feeling great. It's like passion energy drops. That's co-creative energy, intimate energy, all of it. And it's like, hey, if mum ain't happy, ain't no one happy. And that's pretty much the truth. It's like, no, Venus, if you have a feminine in your life, and, because point blank zero, when it comes to your money, the way you're talking to them at the moment and how you're showing up, because we have Venus and Pisces, you better, emotionally check where that person's at, because masculines and feminines, how they relate to each other. Lord, you could be talking all sorts of higgledy-piggledy to do with where it's going. But it's in the 9th house, technically, from a masculine's chart, right? I can see me going the distance and do it. Man, and that's South Node. That's not going to work no more. Pisces will be connecting with me spiritually. For a masculine, that's the only way you can deal with it. Don't just dream it, make it happen. Mean it. Your energy, your communication, your actions, because we've got Gemini even for Aries, Gemini in the 3rd. So
a moment where they can come in and like pitch an idea. No. Is it on paper? Did you buy the plot? Where is it?
And I'm not saying feminine's off scot-free. It's not. We do have to check where we've been on point. Have we been showing up correctly? And it's not just to do with a bloody relationship. It's with our working life, with our routine. It's everything. It's get the balance. Because if you're not, what do you need to let go?
Used to sit there and complain of, and then having to get your masculine on and go, no, I'm going to tackle it. I'm going to do it. Whether it be by actually doing it, throwing money at it, whatever it is, get it done type of attitude. Yeah, that's the part, that sucks. Because then you get so comfortable in that.
Give me an opinion about your sum up before I shut that video down and open it so they can see it. And then we can go have a cuppa and chat. Because I'll have to get on to uploading. Your opinion on this beautiful, beautiful Pisces moon. You should see her face. Do I have to say it?
I don't know, do I have to use proper,
well, there was a few slag words off earlier, so, There was a few C words there, and
I put beep, 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 beep.
Okay, so giggles. Shelley's thought of the Pisces moon would be bleep, bleep, bleep. Yeah. And then a bit like a phone dial. Boo. Yeah.
Flatline.
See, my name is Snow. My number's Snow. You got to let it go. I think that's the Pisces. So got to let it go.
If I could do a sound bite for the Pisces moon, like a sound bite, it would be like on a heart monitor where it's beep, beep,
beep, beep, beep, beep, beep.
Flatline.
Next.
Go to flatline. Crickets.
I think maybe disconcerting between what we resurrect and what we don't.
I'm going to say that
if we're given CPR to anything, we better know what the devil we're doing it for.
I'm going to say for me personally, because I was able to deal with the Aquarius energy because it was external, right? It wasn't. I didn't feel it, which is good.
I lived with it. It wasn't fun.
It wasn't fun, but I didn't feel it. It was external.
Yes, I would agree. Even for me as a Libra, it was external. I know, and most of this stuff probably really is, but then there might be circumstances where we've put ourselves on hold because of that.
No. Right now with Pisces, it's like emotional. It's like dredging up some old shit that I'm like, like old thought patterns, whatever, that I'm like, where is this?
Yeah.
Sedimentary emotions come because they were at the bottom, they were gone. It's been like cleared.
Yeah, I don't know what's coming up. I don't. I guess we'll find out.
I don't want to find out. How about that?
I'm hoping. This is my highest octane hope for during and after the Pisces new moon, that I might have some psychological reprieve. I may view something in a healthier foundation. I may be more rational towards what I put my energy into. In a, what would the word be?
Are we doing our intentions for the new moon?
No, I think from me tuning into it, I already know the low octane. I already get it. I've been living it for the last 2 weeks, and I've been going, yes, past crap's been coming up. Yes, psychology relating to hopes and dreams, wishes, delusions, illusions, he said, she said, what was right, what should have been. And I even mentioned to you during the week, I saw some of the comments on the new OWN Oprah Winfrey kind of interview to do with Meghan Markle and Harry, and just people's comments. And I think the reason Oprah always says, shout out Oprah, speak your truth, is you can only ever tell a story from your point. Now, if you're telling yourselves all sorts of things of why you think another person's done that, you don't know because you weren't in their shoes. We can surmise, but, is it going to be healthy to surmise? Sometimes no. Because unless you hear that from the horse's mouth, you're telling yourself, if you're trying to come to terms with something, fair point, but it's not that it necessarily is real.
Well, I mean, not to devaluate anybody's feelings, as long as it's real,
it's real to them, so that's their thought at that point. It's their feeling. It's your perspective. But it's not the only perspective.
It's not everybody.
You can't discount, and be Judge Judy to everyone's experience, because we can't.
And is your perspective coming from wounding? Like if it isn't, well then okay. But if it is, work on that. Absolutely. Then you'll be like me.
Whatever. Yeah, like I said, you're like, okay, so YILDIZ, what was the Pisces moon? Should I change the office? Maybe. Probably won't. Should I put a banner? Maybe. Will I? Probably not.
Take the backdrop. Probably. Are you? Probably not.
Should I do more videos? Well, timing, luck. What's luck?
What's that?
What's that?
Did you get the outcome you wanted? No.
I don't know.
Was it your
We'll
fault?
see.
Probably.
Is it your YouTube time? One day. Maybe never.
Maybe never. I'm okay with that. And at this point, being like, it is what it is.
It just is. Yeah, and I mean, what's perfect? I think, Try and be authentic. Try and move through it. I'm going to sign the video off here and I'm going to go be naughty with Shelley. And, she's on the opposite side of the world. I don't mean that sort of naughty. We mean in a cup of coffee, gas bag, feminine naughty, where we can have potty mouth that we can't get demonetized, theoretically. Not
we're going to have to save that for another video for the...
Yeah, I'll put R-rated because it is rambles and we're just being real here. Bye.
Crazy
Crickets.
Monday vibes.
Yes, I reckon crazy Monday vibes.